Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Talk to My Customer. I'm your host, Chad Counts, along with my co-host, Richard Tyler. Rich, how you doing today?
Wonderful.
Hello, everybody. There we go.
Things are a little moist here in Austin, Texas today.
Yeah, you were letting me know that there was some good-sized hail.
We've been having some crazy weather, and I think what did we decide? We prefer hail for helping the industry because there's no chance of injury.
Yes, or at least less chance of injury, right? Like it's nice to be able to get some vehicles without without somebody having to lose any sort of life or other injuries or things like that. So
sure.
Although they're, it's not great for selling the body parts off those, but potentially, we can replace those and keep those back on the road. So anyways, right. We've had some crazy weather. This is our first heat wave in California where we're getting up into the 90s finally. So that's nice. Going to be good beach weather and stuff this weekend. Yeah, so hopefully we're rolling here into spring. We're rolling into summer. I know it's been crazy. It seemed like a week or two ago there was snow in the Midwest. So the diversity of weather across this nation is remarkable, and hopefully you guys are able to enjoy whatever you're having, and know that summer's on its way. And it's fun to see even cheeky little advertisements like Bud Light's going to be offering, I think, obviously trying to sell beer, but they're going to be giving away tickets to concerts, sporting events, and all sorts of stuff this summer. So it's just fun to see culturally everybody's like, all right, we're waiting, we're ready to get back out there.
For sure.
I think the reunion and people getting back out there, although across the Midwest, maybe that hasn't been as big of a issue, but coastally, and I think in big urban populations, you're going to see a lot more joy, hopefully, breaking through, as much as we've seen all this grief and sadness and a lot of other places too. So, all right, so on to the topic of today. We're going to be talking about the top 5 objections that we come across from customers in our interactions. And first, before we jump into that topic, I want to remind everybody we are having our 4-week sales training series on closing sales starting May 13th. It's going to be Thursdays for 4 straight weeks, and it's going to be 7 a.m. in the Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific time zones. So anybody who wants to join on that, you can either join pre-work, or if you have members that you'd like to join during work, that's also available to you. So we wanted to have that flexible for companies that are looking either for the whole team or whether you're looking for individuals. And that's going to be $150 a week, $600 total per person. Companies that are enrolling 3 or more, we do have special promotions available for you. So please reach out to me at crcounts@countsbusinessconsulting.com. We'll get you signed up, get you taken care of. But had really good success with this in the fall, and we hope that you guys will participate and join in. What's more important than closing, right? We get lots of opportunities. Let's work on locking that down. And working together, working with other salespeople, I think is a great way to sharpen those skills and get better at that. So otherwise, you know what to do. You're here on YouTube. You're here on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're at. Subscribe, like, rate, review. Let us know what you think. And if you have any ideas for subject matter you'd like us to cover, please reach out and let us know. We always love to hear from our customers. In any way we can serve you, we're happy to do that. So here we are closing out April. When this podcast drops, we're going to officially be in May, Rich. So we are 4 months down, and man, as exciting and as killer as March was, it's been a lot of fun to see, always kind of apprehensive going into the next month. April's been phenomenal too. I think for several companies, our daily average is higher in April, which is wonderful to see. That's usually, March is such a great month. April can be real challenging to duplicate that or keep that momentum, and we've surpassed it on several companies. So we're very excited. So congratulations to you and the teams on that, looking really, really good. All right, so jumping in here to our top 5 objections. We're going to start with number 5. This tends to be more of a retail use case, but this is one that we hear, and it is one that at times can stymie our efforts to close or stymie our efforts to finish the deal. And that is, can I pick it up today? Or can I swing by today and pick that up? So Rich, what are you advising our salespeople to do when they are talking with somebody and getting that type of response? They're like what we have to offer. They're ready to go. They want to come in and get it right now.
Right. All right. So we're going to assume that that's not a possibility.
Absolutely not. I mean, number one, let's just say typical selling conditions. We already have, even if they're talking to us today, we typically have 20, 30 plus orders, and we're hardly waiting.
Right. So I would simply explain that seems like a customer who is unfamiliar with the way the process actually works. They think that they are rolling into a Walmart or a Target type of situation, and that's not the case. And we simply need to explain to them our order of operations, how things are done at our facility.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
No, I was just saying I frequently find myself telling salespeople, look, I think a lot of times we forget they don't know how we work. You know, they have a lot of thoughts about how we should work or what they expect for us to do. But, you know, these retail customers, especially the one in this particular kind of objection, they don't know how we work. So we just need to let them know.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, their experiences with Napa or O'Reilly's or some sort of auto parts store like that. And so they're used to walking in, grabbing it off the shelf, and it's no big deal, you know. And for us, yeah, exactly. You know, the parts are typically on the car. Some of them are on the warehouse, but even when that's the case, you know, we take care of our orders in the order that we get them. So the best thing we can do, and it's possible, if it's early in the morning, we might have this ready for you today. That is absolutely a possibility. But, you know, if it's midday or afternoon, chances are we're going to be hard pressed to get that. So let them know, hey, in the future, if you know this is something you're wanting and you're looking to pick it up, if you would at least call the day ahead of time, you know, 99% of the time, if we have it the day ahead of time, we're going to be able to get it to you. Worst case scenario, it's going to be 2 days. But just like, you know, have you heard about the lumber shortage? Have you heard about all this other stuff? Supply is really tough right now. This isn't evergreen. You can't use this sort of logic, you know, going forward all the time, but at least in our current environment, say the best way we can take care of you is get payment now, get your place in line. And you know what, just to respect your time and make sure it's good, I can either ship this to you directly, or I can email you or call you when it's ready, and you can come in. So it'll be like a same day experience, and you won't have to waste your time. I know I've seen that with Home Depot. I've seen that with Best Buy. We're not alone in that regard. Where we order something online for store pickup, it's not always same day. I mean, most of the time you're able to do that. And that's when they have everything boxed, right? That's when they have everything ready to go. When we have to put a little labor to it or wrench something off or something like that, you know, there is going to be likely a little bit more wait time. But absolutely, don't treat it as a problem. Treat it as education. You know, supply is limited right now, and I would bet most places, unless they're going to a pick and pull, they're not necessarily, unless it's early in the day, going to be able to have some of that same day, you know. And you might look at your orders and say, hey, today's more of a possibility or not, but those are good things to consider.
Yeah. And let me mention something that just came to me as we go through these objections. Each one of these is an occasion for the salesperson to tell their customer something that they can't do. And I really work with salespeople a lot in reminding them that whenever we have to tell our customers something we can't do for them, it never really helps the sale. It can only hinder the sale. So when a customer says something like, can I pick it up today? We don't want to say, no, you can't pick it up today. Instead, what we want to do is we want to use positive phrasing and say something like, you can pick it up day after tomorrow. Would that
Yeah, or let me take a look at the order list. Looks like the soonest we're going to be able to have that for you is this. Is that
right? It's always phrased positively, never negatively.
yeah, focus on what you can do. That's what you're selling. You want to sell the solution you have, even if it's not perfect, right? I mean, the customer might want perfect. Um, if we make them jump up, no, I can't do that, and we just leave it there. I mean, we're just the likelihood, and that's a lot of our thinking on these objections is how do we allow this to not kill the other momentum or everything else that we've set up here? Typically, these objections are not to necessarily the part or it's some component of the deal, but the other 80% of it is acceptable or appreciated or good. So we're trying to basically figure out the ways to navigate around that. And as always, remember as a salesperson, you don't have to be perfect. You just want to be the best offer, right? So they might have some expectation of what they want. Is there so this one, can I pick it up today? In your mind as a salesperson, have you been able to find this anywhere else you can pick it up today? Right? You're kind of pushing back on, you just have to be better than the competition. You just have to be better than the alternative. So, all right. This one is a common one. This is we've done number 4. We've done a lot, and this probably is more on the retail side. We don't necessarily hear this kind of phrasing, although I think there are deviations of this that our wholesale customers will use. And that is, let me think about it. Some sort of response that goes in line with, okay, I'll think it over, or okay, thank you, right? That's probably more on the wholesale side where we get no answer. Retail is probably more on the side of let me think about it, something like that. How should we go about overcoming this objection, Rich?
All right. Let me think about it. Well, I like to ask, what is it that you need to think about? I like to let the customer know right now, in real life, in real time, you're speaking to an expert about acquiring this part.
Right.
So I would just straight up ask them, what is it that you need to think about? I have you on the phone now.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there, and maybe on a more customer service side, is that anything I can help you with? Are there any questions I can help you with while you're thinking about it? And in part 2, so you're trying to, depending on what the part was or what the other situation, they can think about it all they want. That doesn't mean the part's going to be there. It doesn't mean somebody else won't buy it. I've seen more times this year than any other time where, had somebody interested in something, they call back and that's gone. It's been sold.
Sure.
And sometimes too, you run into, they'd mentioned that they needed this before the weekend, or they have some sort of time expectation. And now you come to the end of it and they want to think about it. So sometimes you could use that element of procrastination that's putting there and come back and bring that time pressure and say, okay, yeah, is there anything I can help you think about? I remember you mentioning you wanted to have this by Friday. Okay, well, just so you know, if you want to have it by Friday, we need to make a decision on it today. And I'd hate for you to miss out on that. So typically when they say they need to think about it, I would bet it's typically a price, or we'll get into some of these other. It's probably an objection that's further up, but either way, as a salesperson, this is your barrier. Unless you can figure out what it is they're hesitant about, whether it's the price, whether it's permission from whoever. You want to know what's holding them back,
right?
And in a lot of ways, there's some sense for them that there's some risk involved here. If you can clarify that risk and say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and get the order started. It's process payment. If for whatever reason you need to cancel that order, as long as you let me know within, by the end of the day, we can cancel that order. We can refund your payment. Whatever it is that they need to, I'm trying to move them across that hurdle because it's not very far. And I was listening to something on e-commerce sales and that sort of thing. And they're basically saying, the further you get away from that person putting it in the cart to clicking purchase, like each second that passes, the likelihood of them buying is just falling off a cliff. And we've got to remember as salespeople, that's very much okay, we've made the offer, it's relatively acceptable, it's in their cart, and they want to think about it. They're not there. So if we let them get off the phone, while that wasn't a good sale and a good sale opportunity, maybe we felt like it was 70-80% to close. If we let them get off the phone, that number probably at least drops in half, if not more so. So keep pushing it. The best time to sell is now. You've got them on the phone. There's no guarantee they're going to call you back. There's no guarantee they're going to go through with it. So you working through those extra steps, they don't want to tell you no. By saying, let me think about it, they don't want to tell you no. So use that hesitancy to your advantage and see what you can do to try and push them all the way through to a yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, and we're going to give you 2 forms of number 3. Can you do any better? Can you do any better on that price? Okay. And the second would be, do you have anything with less miles, or do you have anything with less damage?
So you've told the customer something and they're not aligned with it either by price or maybe like mileage.
Correct. They have some level of expectation. Either they wanted it cheaper or they wanted better quality. Right.
Okay. I think you already said one of the best ways to get around this one, and that is inquiring as to what it is that they've found already. What have you been able to find? Have you been able to find it at that price? So I just gave you a price. You asked me, is that the best? My question then should be something like, what have you been able to find? Have you been able to find it at that price? That kind of thing.
And I would say you could use, we'll call this like a Texas 2-step here, right? Like I think even better than what else they've found, if I can get their expectation first, like, okay, what price point were you expecting? What did you have in mind, right? So number 1, I don't want to negotiate against myself. That's usually the mistake that most of us make, is we take the bait and we already start discounting right against it. So number 1 is, okay, what were you expecting? What were you hoping to find? What mileage, what condition, what price? Because if they can tell me that, okay, number 1, I know if I can reach that point, I feel very confident I have this sale. I never mind that. If my customer can give me a target, great. I might not be able to hit the bullseye, but I at least know what I'm shooting for. And then secondly, if we tee that up, right, we tee up their expectation. Then number 2, we say, hey, have you been able to beat that expectation anywhere?
Right.
Now
that's what works with the people who have the unrealistic expectation, because we'll come across that as well. We'll come across people like, what were you hoping to find? Well, I was hoping to find 10,000 miles for $100, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're asking me if I can do any better. And this is our way to politely ask them, well, can you do any better? Right. Mm-hmm. I've made my offer. What can you do? What can you find? Mm-hmm. And so it's recognizing the marketplace. It's doing it in a way that I think is beneficial to them. Right. It's respecting our value. So Texas 2-step, what were you expecting? Yeah. And have you been able to find that anywhere else? That 1-2 punch there. And I think that puts you in really great shape. Now, again, we just came off our podcast last week about customers fibbing or lying or that, you're going to flesh this out. I mean, at least to market knowledge, it's unlikely outside of aftermarket new or some type of part that you don't have access to, that you would be caught completely flat-footed in what they've been able to find somewhere else. They might have stumbled upon a fly-by-night recycler that's got it for super cheap. And if you've got to go to bat on some of those, you say, okay, what kind of warranty? Like, what kind of mileage do they have? And so-and-so's got it for $500. Like, okay, well, the other side is why didn't you buy that? Why didn't you buy it for 5? There was something apparently about what so-and-so had. Oh, well, it's because it's got 250,000 miles. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. I wouldn't buy it for that price either.
Right.
So, this is where it's not a simple sale, but it's just having a conversation. There's nothing to be worried about or scared of here, right? If I have more of a conversation on this person is basically already not convinced that they're going to buy. So I have nothing to lose by continuing to work some steps here and try and find my footing and trying to find what's in this environment around my offer that is either competitive or not. Okay. Okay. Number 2, just getting prices or shopping around. Okay. So this is somewhat of a combination between number 3 and 4. They're kind of thinking about it, but they're also kind of seeing, they're maybe not asking me if I can do better, but they're thinking to themselves that they can do better. They might be able to find something better. So that elusive, maybe there's a better offer out there, right? The grass is greener somewhere else, right? So, Rich, what are some ways, and I think, our techniques in 3 and 4 can come into play on this too. Is there anything slightly different or maybe steps you would treat differently to?
Yeah. Okay. So in addition to what we've already said, because I think it's definitely relevant to ask them, okay, if they're shopping around, obviously, what other prices have they found? Maybe we've already crossed that bridge with them. I think also in order to kind of get a better sense of whether or not there is opportunity there, I might ask them, when are you looking to make a decision by? When are you planning to have this repair done?
Right. Yeah, using scarcity right now is really an effective tool. Yeah, and I think even thinking about pricing, is most of our companies we've been talking to for the last year, prices are going up. I mean, you might call back on this and we're raising the prices on it. So supply is that hard to come by right now. Just getting prices or shopping around, I'd hate for you to miss out on. I certainly understand that. And I've seen companies do price matching in certain situations. I've seen other things like that. To me, it's this FOMO aspect, more often than not, that the customer is fearful they're going to make a mistake or they're going to find something that's better. And so more often than not, depending on what it is, and maybe right now this is a little bit difficult to do, but in most selling environments, not this like everything's so hard to get and prices are going through the roof, but I would say, hey, if you can find something with the same mileage, same warranty as us, call me back. We'll match that price. No problem. I'm looking out there. I'm a sales expert. I have access to 1,000 yards, 200 yards, whatever the case may be. Our price is great. You won't find a better price for the mileage, with the warranty, with the condition that we have.
Right.
So some of that is beating your chest. Yeah, you're letting them know, hey, you might be able to find that. The other side is, how much is your time worth? Okay, so you think you're going to be able to save how much by taking more time, calling around? You're going to say $20, $15? How much time is that going to take you? What's that worth? Like, what do you really think you're going to get out of this? And just letting them know that's part of the service. Part of what we do is getting that taken care of. So yeah, I think you're trying to figure out what exactly it is that's holding them back, and trying to make a case if you can basically take the risk out of, you call me back and there's something different, or you call me back and you need to cancel. I'm trying to move past that inertia, past that fear, because more often than not, if I can nail it down and get it done, I think they're going to stop calling. Chances they're really going to call around or keep going other options, I think, are pretty low. So if I can just give them that sense of confidence that they don't have to be afraid that, hey, they might stumble upon something else and they're stuck, then typically I can lock that down, I think, for the most part. Okay, and now number 1, and not coincidentally, the name of our podcast.
Yeah, our namesake.
let me talk to my customer, or the old, I got to talk to my husband, I got to talk to my wife, I got to talk to so-and-so, right? I got somebody else needs to be consulted to sign off on this decision, right? Time in, time out. And this goes, the reason why this is number one is this comes up, retail, wholesale doesn't matter. And more often than not, this is the one that seems to flummox our salespeople, more than anything. So
more than anything. And it's because they hear it 100 times a day.
Yeah. And so I think of this as like, okay, we hear this all the time. We got nothing to lose on this. Let's take some shots. Let's take some steps to figure out how we can come around this objection.
So, by the way, I do want to explain the reason why we're putting these together also, so that our listeners can kind of understand and think through this, is we've got to work through a middleman. We've got to work through a second party. On the wholesale side, the second party is the repair facility or the person that you're speaking to, right? The mechanic. And then on the other side of things, it's you're speaking to the boyfriend who's searching for parts for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so for the sake of time, we'll try and get to the point on this one. To me, I go right back to, there's a reason why this person is calling. And this is true whether it's the shop, it's true whether it's the customer or the retail side. You are the expert, right? You are the trusted person. Your role is pricing out parts and doing that, right? Or you were the one in the family who everyone thought was most savvy in this area. You have the most experience buying parts or fixing vehicles, or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
There is some aspect of authority that's already given to this person on the phone.
Yeah.
So I like to come back as a salesperson and say, oh, okay. So how is it that you ended up being the one to call? Oh, I'm the one in the family who has the most experience, yada, yada. Okay. Oh, great. Well, that's wonderful. That's so nice of you to be able to do that for your family. So they typically go with the recommendations you make? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm usually the guy. Okay. What do you think of this offer? You think it's a fair offer? Is this the part you would buy if it was your vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're kind of working them through those steps. So basically, yes, they're going to have that conversation with somebody else. However, they already, in a lot of ways, have that authority. And sometimes you say, hey, well, we can go ahead and get this started. You already feel good about it, feel confident. Why don't we get this started? You still have that conversation. If you get the go ahead, you don't have to call me back. Right?
Yeah. And again, I would just highlight here that a lot of this is, look, can we get some forward momentum on this? And if anything goes south, then you just let me know.
Right. So we're already here. We've already done the bulk of the work. We've already done the heavy lifting. Why not finish this off? Okay, so you feel confident you're going to sell this to your customer. You think it's good. Okay, great. Well, why don't we get this started? That way you're going to have the part earlier. You're going to get your customer out faster and on time.
Right.
You call me back if there's any headaches or issues, and we'll kill the deal if we need to. Right. So you're basically converting that they're the authority. They're already going to, if they're sold on it, that we already have enough confidence to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the risk that, okay, the other person say, I'm not getting it repaired here, or no, I don't think we can afford that. That somebody else is going to kill it, will happen, but it's such a small percentage, and they should be able to have that conversation with them quickly enough. I want to get them committed to me, right? And more often than not, if there really is a legitimate reason beyond that, this is just their line, let me talk to my customer, we're not going to uncover that unless we bypass this, right? We've got to get to that question. If it were your vehicle, would you make this? Would you make this purchase, right? We've got to, if it's legitimate that they've got to talk to so-and-so, fine. But otherwise, we've got to get, if it were them, what would they decide? Because they might tell us, let me talk to my customer. They already have quotes from 2 or 3 other places, and they're going with one of those.
Yeah.
That's what I want to get to. I don't want to get stonewalled and stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're going to be talking through more things like this in our closing school, and we're going to have some of our lines and our top closes and everything like that available to you all with our 4-week training package starting May 13th on Thursdays. So we hope you'll carve out some time, whether for yourself or your whole team, to be able to come and join us on that training. Again, reach out to me at crcounts@countsbusinessconsulting.com or Rich at countsbusinessconsulting.com as well. And we'll be able to finish off and get any details that you guys need to join us for that closing sales series that's going to be starting this coming month. So as always, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you guys down the road.